Dave Neilson, Fantasy Sports Giant, coming back to you from the man cave to hit on wide receiver waiver wire pickups for Week 3. Some key injuries this past week in fantasy football. First off, Jordy Nelson, quad injury, got injured on the first series against the Atlanta Falcons, did not return the rest of the way. Right now, they believe he is 50-50 to play on Sunday. That is a big loss for a lot of fantasy owners. Then you got wide receiver Corey Coleman for the Cleveland Browns, broken hand, put on IR, cannot come back till early November. That is a big injury there also for the Cleveland Browns. And then you have John Brown for the Arizona Cardinals. Once again, this guy is battling injuries, battled it all season last year. Now he has a quad injury, and Coach Bruce Arians has already ruled him out for the Monday night game against the Dallas Cowboys. So I'm going to give you 4 wide receivers that you should look at this week. First off, J.J. Nelson and Jerron Brown for the Arizona Cardinals. J.J. Nelson, big week last week, 5 receptions, 120 yards and a touchdown. Really showed signs of this last season. He produced pretty big for the Cardinals down the stretch last season when John Brown got injured as well. So I like J.J. Nelson. He's owned in about 50% of leagues. When you look also, Jerron Brown, he had 11 targets last week for the Arizona Cardinals, out-targeted every receiver there for the Cardinals offense. Obviously, the Cardinals were playing from behind, so they did have to throw the ball a lot. But I like Jerron Brown as well. I don't think he's going to produce what J.J. Nelson can, but he might be a good possession receiver and maybe in PPR leagues. Also, wide receiver Brandon Coleman. I've been talking about this guy a lot this season. I felt he was somebody who could benefit in that New Orleans offense, third-year receiver. First week, did not produce like I thought he would. Second week, I chose this guy to go ahead and be a sleeper, and he could do it again. And he did for me, 4 receptions, 82 yards, and a touchdown. Obviously, he's a guy who maybe it's just this week. This will be his last week, and he won't do anything the rest of the way once Willie Snead comes back from suspension. But it's worth picking him up just for this week if you need a waiver wire spot with J.J. Nelson with Jordy Nelson or John Brown or losing Corey Coleman. This guy could produce this week for the New Orleans Saints. Obviously, in the right type of offense, I like Corey Coleman. And then finally, I'm going to go with Jermaine Kearse for the New York Jets. 2 touchdowns last week against the Oakland Raiders. Obviously, right now, he's probably the best wide receiver there for the New York Jets. I did like Robbie Anderson, but it looks like Kearse is the guy who's going to benefit the most. So definitely Jermaine Kearse is a guy you want to pick up because he looks like he's the number 1 wide receiver there for the New York Jets. So there you go. I like both Cardinals receivers, J.J. Nelson and Jerron Brown. Brandon Coleman for the New Orleans Saints might be his last week to do anything, so pick him up this week. And then also Jermaine Kearse there for the New York Jets, 2 touchdowns last week. I expect bigger things from him as the season goes on. This has been Dave Neilson, your Fantasy Sports Giant. Stay tuned for tight end waiver wire pickups for Week 3.